We're going to be sewing a patch over a hole in a garment. For this you'll need pins, needle, 2 colours of thread, scissors and a scrap fabric to make your patch. Now when choosing the fabric for your patch, try to choose fabric that's a similar thickness if you can't match the material exactly. You may be able to find excess material in the garment inside pockets or on hems. However, you may like to choose some fabric that's a different colour so that your patch stands out. We call this visible mending, and it adds character to the garment. The scrap patch needs to be larger than the hole that you are patching. This is because the area around the hole will be so thin and damaged, and other holes may appear through use. To prepare your patch, cut out your scrap fabric to the shape that you desire. I've cut out a rectangle and I've folded over the edge and just pressed them with an iron. You don't have to do that. However, I've just then done a tacking stitch. So it's a large running stitch up and down through the fabric just to secure those edges in place for when I'm sewing. You could alternatively use some fusible iron-on glue onto the underside of the patch and iron that onto your garment, and that will help to hold it in place. However, iron-on patches don't tend to last very long, so it is worth sewing around the edges. I'm going to pin my patch into position just to help me hold it in place for when I'm sewing. Now I'm also going to be using a different coloured thread. Now you don't have to do that, you could use a coloured thread that is the same colour as your patch or your garment. However, I'm going to be doing other repairs to this garment and I'm using this coloured thread. You could do different types of stitches around the edge of your patch. Now you could do a blanket stitch or an over or whip stitch which goes over the edge of the patch. I'm going to do a back stitch. Again, you could also do a running stitch for this. I'm going to push the needle from the underside to the top, and then I'm going to go down through the fabric just a small amount, about 1/2 centimetre, and then I'm going to go push the tip of the needle up again about 1/2 centimetre up and pull that through. Now that's my first stitch and my half of my second stitch. So now I'm going to push the needle down at the end of the first stitch, so to the back of the first stitch, the back stitch. So I'm going to go up about 1/2 centimetre and then back down to where the last stitch ends. So you're always working ahead and then going back to where the last stitch, and it will look like a row of dashes with no spaces. So it looks slightly similar to a running stitch, but it's a bit more secure. As you go along, remove the pins. If you run out of thread, just tie a knot at the back and get a new piece of thread. When you reach the end, just push the needle to the back, tie a knot by just catching a little bit of the thread and making a loop and putting the needle back through that loop. And repeat. I'm going to remove the tacking stitches as they're no longer needed. Being careful not to pull the stitches that I've just made. Could use an unpicker for this. And there you go, there's your patch.